Alright guys, Tuesday, June the 30th, 2020, and back having a look at the TR250 project and see how the primer is drying up. Looks like it's drying up pretty nicely. Little dent there that I missed, and a few other little areas that need to be looked at. I've got a few little pinholes back here. I'm probably not going to be able to see them on camera. Got a little pinhole there, and I got a few little... Alright guys, all the spot putty areas are done. All in all, not too bad. Obviously it looks probably like a larger areas than what it actually is. Most of them are, like I said, are just little pock marks in the primer. That's not too bad. I'm happy with that. So we will let that dry, and like I said, we'll probably start sanding on this probably tomorrow evening. Stay tuned. Alright guys, Wednesday, July the 1st. Happy Canada Day to all my Canadian viewers. Awesome day out there today. Going to a barbecue tonight. Alin has invited me with his new girlfriend Laura. They're inviting me to a barbecue tonight, so I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be hot for the next 10 days. Apparently we're supposed to set some sort of record out here for the most consecutive 30 plus degrees Celsius days. So it will be hot working in the garage over the next little while. But that's okay. Rather that than being, you know, minus 20. Anyway, we're about to start doing some block sanding on the car. I've got some 220 grit out here as my initial start of my block sanding. So we're going to get this attached to a block. We're going to guide coat this first, and then we'll go to town with 220. Then we'll step up to 400 grit, and then we'll probably end with a 600 grit wet. So that's the plan anyway. We are going to concentrate primarily on the exterior panels to make them look as good as possible. As I'd mentioned previously, things like the trunk and the passenger compartment, for example, and even to some degree the engine bay will get less of a sanding treatment and more of a Scotch-Brite scrub treatment. So yeah, so we may as well start that now. We'll get the guide coat on and dry, and then we'll start blocking it out. Alright, if you're just new to block sanding, here's the value of the guide coat. So I've just done sort of half the panel. And what I'm using for my guide coat is just actually a black primer. You can use a dedicated thing like, I think I might have a can of it. Let's see if I've got a can of it here. Yeah, so there's a dedicated can of guide coat from Evercoat. You can also buy the graphite type, the sort of the powdery type that you actually sponge on, but I'm just using a black primer. You can even use black enamel paint if you wanted to. Anyway, so this is showing me here that I've got a low spot that I need to fill where that black primer remains. So that's the value of a guide coat. So we're just going through again with 220 on a block. I'm actually using this long Durablock here with my paper attached to it to get this area done. We'll switch to a little bit more flexible block because of the angles here on this side of the long run here. And but for the flat parts, we'll use the longest block possible that we can use in this area. This seems to be a good block for this area. Alright guys, Tush coming at you Thursday, July the 2nd, 2020, and just about 10:15 p.m. So big day today, expensive day today, but the paint for the car is now purchased. So we have the Chrysler DB9, which is Nightwatch Blue. Purchased a gallon of it, probably more than I need, but I've had experience in the past where I've run out of paint midway through a project and had to get it remixed, and that mix did not match. So if you go back and look at my 1960 TR3A project, I painted the doors the last on the car after I got my paint remixed, and that was white, and the doors did not match, so we ended up having to repaint the whole car because of that. So we're not going to run into that issue on this car. So we got a full gallon of the DB9. It's mixed 1-to-1 with the reducer, so it's basically 2 gallons sprayable, so I better not run out. I picked up some more hardener for my clear coat. I do have some medium in the cupboard, but it's going to be awfully hot here for the next 10 or 11 days. We're talking like 30 plus degrees Celsius, so we're up in the 85 to 90 degree range. So I ended up having to get some slow hardener for my clear coat. I got some slow reducer for the base coat, so we're good there. I picked up just a rattle can of a 1K primer just to do some quick touch-ups if need be. So that was one store that I went to. That's my auto body supply store. So I mentioned it was expensive, and I know you guys like to see prices for these things. I had attempted to actually keep a spreadsheet of what this is costing me, and I've given up on that. But I'll share with you what I spent today at the auto body supply store. So for a gallon of the Matrix MPB LV, which is the low VOC base coat, $600 for a gallon. The original quoted me at $690, and I said, well, that's quite a bit. I said, I think I'd paid 75 bucks for a pint before, so when I did the math on that, I worked out to be 600 bucks a gallon. So I asked him if he'd do 600, and he agreed to that. So I saved myself almost $100 there. The high build aerosol primer was $15.90. The base coat reducer for the gallon was $89.90, and the hardener, the slow hardener for the Matrix AG40 Clear, which is a high solid clear, was $130. So I add the tax of $108 to that. So there's a little bit of stuff here on the table. These 4 items, $944.45. So as I mentioned, expensive day at the body shop today. But paint is bought. We have the clear, so we're good to go as far as getting the body and panels into base and clear. Stopped at my local Canadian Tire just to pick up a few more things that I needed. Some shop towels, some truck bed liner, which I use for touch-up on the Raptor liner. Just where I've got any overspray, I just usually hit it with the Duplicolor truck bed liner. The spray gun aerosol paint remover for my spray guns. And just picked up some 600 grit wet sandpaper and just a 320 sanding sponge and a roll of tape. That was $70. So over $1,000 today in materials for the car. So yeah, an expensive day, but materials that are required to continue on with the project. So we'll put these to good use hopefully within the next few days. I can't remember where I left off on my last video, but we are slowly sanding. I think I'm at 320 on the rear of the car, and I've got it pretty much sanded down all the way down to the rear valance. I need to do a little bit more work here. I know it's dark in the garage tonight, so anyway, I need to do a little bit more work here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to reprime this and we're going to block it down again. So hopefully we'll finish this area tomorrow as far as the sanding is concerned and get it reblocked. Or actually reprimed and then reblocked, so we can continue on then with the rest of the areas that need to be blocked down, like the sills and this sail panel and the front valance. Again, as I'd mentioned probably already, and I can't remember what I recorded, but the interior is really just going to get scuffed down with Scotch-Brite pad, and we're going to do base and clear that way. So if it's not an external panel and it's not going to be really visible, I mean the whole basically interior of this car is covered, so we're not going to be worried too much about that. I'd probably mention as well that the Raptor liner is going to be done on the trunk, so there's really not a lot of visible blue areas in this once the trunk section or the spare tire section is completed. So again, not a lot of paint that's visible in this area either. So anyway, I'm hoping to get this done fairly quickly, although I've mentioned it's going to be extremely hot in the garage the next week to 12 days. And I'm going to try to work in the morning as much as possible and probably late at night. That's why I'm out here at 10:15 at night, because it's cooled down a little bit, although it's still 80 plus degrees out here in the garage at getting close to 10:30 now. Yeah, it's just about 85-ish. So it's a little bit cooler and a little bit nicer to work than it is at 95 to 100. Anyway, that's it for now, guys. We'll put these materials to good use shortly.